Hi, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Marriage Clinic Live. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us today for another edition of Marriage Clinic Live. We are so happy and super excited about today's program because I believe personally that we are going to be learning a lot from today's event. We have actually gone live. Please, it's time for you to start inviting your friends and family because I know that today will be an extraordinary one in the sense that we'll be getting new knowledge today and you'll be having more understanding as to what we are going to be discussing today. And it's a big privilege and honor for me to host today on Marriage Clinic Live a woman of substance and wisdom, a paragon of excellence and greatness, an influencer, an epitome of accomplishment. As a matter of fact, when you hear her speak, her words are very compelling. I mean, when you hear her speak, those words, they stick to your heart and to your mind. And she's also a multiple award winning entrepreneur and a business executive. She's a co-founder of WIMBIS, which is Women in Business and Public Service. And she was also once a past chairman of WIMBIS. She's the first female and immediate past chairman of First Bank, Nigeria, and currently the CEO of the Chair Center Group. She is happily married with three handsome men. It's a privilege for me to introduce to us this evening Mrs. Ibukun Awosika. She takes us on the topic, the making of a great woman, wife, and mother. Thank you so much for listening. Please do invite others as she will be speaking now. Thank you. Woo! Ma, we
Hello,
celebrate you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's
Good evening,
definitely
ma.
my pleasure and my privilege to be here. And
Yes.
I thank Morolayo.
Thank you, ma.
Morolayo.
Yes,
That's a
Morala.
powerful name that I have
Thank you,
seen
ma.
wealth that brings me joy. That's a real
Yes,
confession,
yes.
for the invitation. And
You're
it's always a pleasure to share time and to share experiences or to just share your thoughts with other
mm,
people, especially, you know, in a way that can impact other people's lives. You cannot take
mm,
that for granted
mm.
because God treasures his people. So that is really uh, important. So we're
Thank
talking
you, ma.
about making great women, you
Yes,
know.
ma. You have the floor now.
Thank you very much. Okay. What When you talk about making a great woman is different for each and every one of us. Okay? Because the way the world has been defined, we have all these boxed definitions of many things. And what I find that does is that it puts a lot of people under pressure, and it also makes a lot of people feel as if they have not achieved their own goals. Yet, they've done a lot of things. We have a responsibility to live the life that we have been given, to live the life that we were born to live, and not to compare that with another person's assigned life. So, our greatness is a function of our own assignment and what we're able to do with it. Now, in my books, my understanding in my 58 years of life, and this is December will be 31 years of marriage, you know, the way I see it is a woman has three key components to her life. The biggest and the most important in my books is you, your person. Who you are is the core of everything else that you are. You were born and named as you. You were nurtured and your gifts were nurtured by your parents or through your education and all of that. And in that process, you had your own vision, you had your own ambition, you had things you wanted to do, you had vision of life the way you saw it, where you wanted to go, what you would like to achieve, the impact you would like to leave, your dreams, your aspirations. That's you. And that part of you will never ever go away. Now, along the path at a stage of your life, and it's different for all of us. Some people are married very early, some marry a little later. You decide to pick the man that would be your husband. And at that point, you pick up the ball of being a wife. The ball of being a wife is only added to who you are as a person. He doesn't take or change, or it shouldn't take or change who you are as a person. That process of deciding who to marry should reflect on the person that you are. You should make the choice of your husband with the understanding of what the core of you represents, and you choose a husband that, as you're led by God and your understanding, is best suited for the vision that you have been given, for the person that you are, and the husband that has the capacity to add value, to help to build, to help to nurture, to help to support the fulfillment of the core of who you are. Now, in that process, at different stages for all of us, we can be gifted to become mothers. In becoming a mother, and it's different times for different people. Some of us become mothers right off the track. Some wait so many years along the path. It doesn't change who we are. Shouldn't change who we are, which is why the core is important. Because imagine if you are waiting for the husband or waiting for the child or children to come. If there is no meaning to your core, then what are you doing in between? You know, your life continues and should be an expression of the gifts of God, the calling of God, the opportunities that God lays along your path, that your gifts are suited for, that you're then able to express yourself in. And when you become a mother and you become a wife, both work together to enhance the substance of your person. It must never diminish. Yes, it can challenge it, because sometimes mixing the balls, becomes a new challenge for us. But as women, we're already wired to be able to work out how that works. And in the world of today, even more than ever, there are a lot of systems around us that we can apply to ensuring that we're able to sustainably and successfully express ourselves, and yet express ourselves as a husband, as a wife, and as a mother. So the making of a great woman for each and every one of us follows a different process, but it should lead to the manifestation of the greatness that is within us as individuals. Now, you might find that your calling is to teach. Okay, let me use my youngest sister, lives in America, and she's a teacher. But she didn't, when she had her first degree in Nigeria, she went to University of Jos. She studied special education. She loved it because it offered her a chance to help, and She likes to explain things to you in a way that only a natural teacher can. When she finished that, she decided she wanted to be a lawyer. Okay? Excuse me. So she came to England, went back to university, studied law, graduated in law, signed up to do the bar in the UK, did her bar exams, passed. And as she was set in doing her practice and all of that you do after the bar exam, they have their own system, slightly different from the Nigerian one. She had been dating her boyfriend, who then became her husband. She got married and she had to move from England to America. Now, their whole system for being a lawyer in America is totally different. From state to state, the laws are different, the regulations are different. What makes you a lawyer is different. You have to take totally different exams and all of that. She was still so committed to wanting to practice law. Anyway, in between all of trying to find herself to settle and get back into law, she decided to teach. And the reality of it is, when you listen to my sister, which all my siblings can, she can kill all of us with telling us what happened in our class every day, how one child did and all of that. We have to say, look, we're not your students. Right? But one thing that is clear to all of us is her calling in life. What she does that gives her the greatest joy. What brings sunshine to her face? What excites and makes her fulfilled and contented is the transformation she can achieve with the children in her class, and the way she's able to apply her knowledge, both as a teacher and her legal background, to help her colleagues who are teachers or class assistants, and to support the parents of the children in her class. I would not want to imagine my sister doing anything else, because I think she'll be lost. It is clear this is her call, and it brings the best out of her. So her greatness is not in becoming the chairman of somewhere or the other, because that's not where her gifts are in their best play. Yet she's a mother. She has twin boys and one, so she has 3 boys. And in between all of that, she's trying to be the mother to her children, wife to her husband, and a great teacher to the children committed to her in class, as well as, a member of the choir in her church. If my sister teaches for the next 40 years, she will still be happy. You just need to sit with her for one day, listening to her talk about her work as a teacher and the children, to know that it would be a total waste for her to do anything else. So, there are 3 balls. The ball of you, call, because it's only if you work that your role as a wife can work successfully and sustainably. It's only if you work that your role as a mother can work successfully and sustainably. I have seen too many miserable women who have lived lives giving up so much to focus just on one subset of who they are. And usually they give up the core and try to function as a wife excessively or as a mother excessively. And because the core isn't at its best or working sustainably, when children have grown, and they grow so quickly these days, from about 10, teenage, to them going to university, they really aren't so dependent on you. They might need your money and need some things from you, but they're not as dependent on you in a consuming way that your yearnings and your desire for self-expression will be gone. Now, some women really naturally only desire to be a wife and a mother. And if that's what God has called you to be a housewife who supports her husband in every way and her children in every way, you will have full and total satisfaction doing that. And you will know that that is your calling. You will be fulfilled because there will be enough to occupy you in your specific circumstance. So the question for each and every one of us is, don't define your greatness by another's. It's your responsibility to seek the face of God and to seek to have a sense and an understanding of your calling as a person and the desires of your heart. The Bible says the desires of the heart of a righteous man, the Lord will grant. So what are the desires and the yearnings of your own heart? And how far have you gone in the journey of fulfilling that yearning? How far have you gone in trying to bring that yearning alive and actualize it in a way that you know that when your life is finished, you can confidently say, I have lived the life that the Lord has given me to live, that I have fully expressed myself in the way that I have been called. Whether it's as a natural, I have nurtured my children and many other children around me. I have impacted lives. And the fruits of my journey, they are evident in the things that I have done. Mother Teresa didn't have any children, not one of her own. I don't even remember that there's any record that she got married. Remember, she was a nun, so she never got married. But she raised so many children and supported so many people, men and women, and left a legacy of empathy and love, and built a generation of people to continue her work after her. Yet, she never did business to raise the money that was necessary for that support. But as she sowed her love and compassion in the way she felt that the Lord had called her to, starting at a time that she was not known or was it popular, but sowing the seed of the gift that she had been given. She had been given an extraordinary gift and capacity to love the unlovable, to be comfortable in the most uncomfortable place, to give to lives that nobody else cared about. And as she did that sacrificially, over time, the Lord brought recognition to that work and raised people from far and wide across the world to gather their resources for the work that she did. And even when she went home, that work continues because she had established an institution of kindness and love that continues to be supported by the great and the mighty, the small and the big across the world. That's her legacy. She didn't have children. She didn't marry. But is she a woman of greatness? Yes. For all times, her story will be told. That's one side. So there will be women who are married, who have husbands, who have children, but who will also live their lives and have the three work together. The Bible says we should work out our own salvation, which means we should humbly seek to make the things work for us. And why is the humbly important? Because When you want the three different sides of your life to work, there's a need for knowledge. There's a need for humility, in that you're going to have to seek for knowledge from people. You're going to have to seek for help and support and service from other people. But you must have the grace and humility to receive service graciously, and to give love and kindness and fairness and be equitable in doing that, so that you can sustainably retain the support and the help that you require. And that is what makes the difference. Whoever it is that we have married, and all our husbands will not be the same for those who are married. Some we probably we married under different circumstances. So some are working better than others because of the type of people that we married, based on the knowledge we had at the time that we made the choice of who to marry. But now that we are married, we must find out how that marriage works for us, based on who that person is that we're married to. Now, I always say there is no general counsel for marriage, because each home is different. Each pair is different. And you need the specificity of the couple in order to give the best of counsel that can help in every specific situation. And what is important is the guiding principle. And that guiding principle is based on what you desire, what do you want from your own union? What kind of a person is your spouse? What is his own communication tool? How can you effectively reach him with whatever it is that you desire to share and to gain his support? The way you will tell one is different from the way you will tell the other. The way you will gain the support of one is different from the way you will gain the support of the other. You need to work out your own salvation. I use that word a lot because in each scenario, every woman is the only one that knows her husband and knows her own specific situation. And you must seek information to help you make the best decision for that unit to work for you. What is important is, don't lose sight of what your goal is. Your goal is that you want your core to work. You want to fulfill the dreams, the inspiration, the aspirations, and the vision of your life. And once you are in a marriage, you can do that most successfully if you have the support of your spouse, or if you're able to carry your spouse along. So that requires effective communication of that vision. And whatever it is that you find that is the effective tool that works in your own situation, that is your business. And that's what you should do. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about what they think about what you and your husband do together to make it work for you. It's not their business. You can seek counsel always, but I always say, counsel is not instruction. Counsel is information. Information from the perspective of somebody. When you get that information, apply it to your own situation, which you know better than anybody else, and make the right decision for your own situation, which you know better than the person that has given you information. So the person who has given you information has given it from a view, not necessarily your view. The person does not have a 360-degree view, a holistic view of your situation. You do. So take the information from the multitude of sources, but make the decision and make it in line with your situation and your goal that you have set for yourself. So remember, your greatness as you seek it or as you have been assigned is different from another. So define your own journey as you understand it and walk your own journey. Decide the tools that are relevant for you to achieve your own greatness and pursue them. Define the best talents that are applicable to your own journey and seek to enhance them or to gain them where it is necessary. Define the kind of help that you need for your own journey and seek to approach or to gain the support of those helps. And strategically stay according to your own agenda. See, the long-term goal is the most important thing, which is really, how do you want to finish your life? If you know how you would really like to finish, and you can determine where you are now, between where you want, how you'd like to finish and where you are now, you can then design the route that will help you to get to the end result. I would like to spend a lot of time answering questions from people so that we can get a lot more value from my time and my interaction. So for now, I will stop and then we can come back to it as it's next.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for that, the ones you have said already. So while you were speaking, Ma, you were able to touch on one of the questions, but I want you to buttress more on it, which is the fact that you explained that for some women, they play the role of the wife too excessively or the role of the mother too excessively. We should know how to juggle both the role of a mother, a wife, and yeah, the womanhood generally. We should know how to juggle everything together in such a way that one will not, outweigh the other. So the question is, especially for a woman that is a career woman, how easy is it for her to juggle between these two effectively, considering the fact that she has a role to play to her husband and even to her children, and she also has a role to play to her employer. So how does she achieve this without one clashing with the other?
Okay. Now, it's not a straight line because there will be days that they will clash. That's his reality. Okay? It's not a straight line. Now, one thing is we should go back a bit and invest a lot in teaching our girls how to choose the husband. That is really important because, the ingredients you bring together to cook a pot of soup, to a large extent, will determine the result you will get. If you want to cook, what do they call it? Let's say if you eat amala and you want to cook the gbegiri, that the major substance of that is beans, and then you have red oil and then pepper and all of that. If instead of red oil you decide to use vegetable oil, you already know you're going to get a different result. The beans is there, you have all the salt and everything, but if instead of red oil you use vegetable oil, you are going to end up with a different result. Instead of salt, if you use sugar, you will get a different result. So it's really about us going, for many decades, for many generations before us, the life of women, it was simpler, it was easier, it was a different time and a different season. The mindset of that generation defined the role of a woman in a narrow way. Her role was defined largely to serve her husband and her children and
Sure.
the family. Not because that's how God designed it. And why do I know that?
Yeah.
Open your Bible. From as far back as Bible times, there were women that God gave the responsibility of leadership. As far back as Bible time, you have like the Psalm 31 woman. She was
Proverbs
industrious, she
31.
was an entrepreneur, she was involved in multiple business, she was a leader in the community, she built
Yeah.
real estate, she did multiple things. You had Deborah, who was a judge of
Judge
whole of Israel.
Israel.
You look at history, it doesn't match where we were or where we still are in many communities across the world.
Sure.
Men have redefined what God intended for the role of women. And we're going back to the times where the talents and the gifts that God has given to women is emerging as gifts and talents that are being applied. So we need to reset the mind of the community and the women themselves. And we as mothers have to help our daughters. You should wonder why many young marriages in this last decade don't last at all. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3
1 year.
years, 5 years, marriages are falling apart. Why? The principles under which we're trying to define marriage and the time and the season that we're in, they do not match. The girls are going to school. They have ambitions, they have
Ambition.
aspirations, they have vision. They know their talents and their skills. They know they can earn money and be contributors to their household. They know they can be leaders of nations. They know they can be CEOs of organizations. They know they can serve on multiple boards. They know they can be the doctor, the surgeon. They can play any role they choose to. They know that. And yet, we have not reset the mind of both the women and the
The
community.
men.
Yes, both the women, the men, and the community at large, to say to the girl, look, if you want your call to work, you have a responsibility not to just get carried away with the societal or cultural perspective of you getting married. It's a good thing to be married and to desire it, but you have to be more strategic for the life that you know you have and the life that you know you want to live. And what does that mean? It means if I'm an ambitious, a driven woman who wants to fulfill myself, to fulfill my gifts and to fulfill my calling, I have a responsibility to ensure that the guy that I choose to be my husband is not just about the fact that he's tall, he's handsome, he comes from a
Six
certain kind
pack.
of family or the right family, because I don't even know what that means. But there are many things that it's not just about that, but that it's about the character of the man, it's about the substance of the man, it's about the understanding of the man, it's about the maturity of the man and the acceptance of who I am as a person, whoever that woman is, and his ability to work with who I am for me to be the best of myself. And it's only when I'm the best of myself, I will be better as a helper. Because if the Bible says that your wife is your helper, she can only, the quality of help you can get from her is the quality of the woman that she is. And so it is enlightened self-interest for a man who has wisdom to allow the gifts and the talents of his wife to be maximized, because she can serve him better in that place. And for her to understand the unit of marriage, the togetherness, the partnership, and the team works best when we both understand our combined vision and yet understand our individual vision. And we work out how our individual vision works together for our combined vision. So we need to do a lot of work to get the girls to think differently about that process of deciding who to marry. And now, once you have done that, it becomes a lot easier. Not necessarily that it becomes easy. It becomes easier if you are two people with full understanding and respect for each of your own ambition, each of your own goals. And if your success and the success of your husband serves the success of your family, which means you are both bringing value to the table. So you're working to protect each other's value because it serves your family, you know. So it's in that sense, you will find that when the woman needs to worry about my role as a wife and my role as a mother, it's easier because you have the support. You're working as a team. There are days, you know, I remember when my youngest son, and my kids are like two generations. You know, my youngest son is 7 years and a few months older than my second. You know, and at that stage of my life, I was really busy. So in the morning, I would be involved in getting my son ready for school. He wouldn't even let his nanny get him ready. So I would have to bathe him, dress him up, you know, sit down with him at the table to have breakfast, pray with him, take him out to the car till he goes off to school. But in the afternoon, I can rarely be around to pick him from school. So that's something that my husband took over. His own driver is the one that picks my son from school. And many times, if my husband is in the car because he's gone for a meeting or the other, he goes to the class to pick his son. And so anybody that doesn't have an understanding might not see me in the school in the afternoon as often as they probably see some other mothers, and could conclude that you're not involved in your son's life, you know. But that's their problem, not mine, you know, which is why you have to have an understanding of your own life. And as in your partnership, you must have an understanding and respect for one another and one another's life, so that you are working as a team to support each other. And it just makes life a lot easier when you have a better partnership. You know, there are days things won't work. That's just the reality. You can get all the help and everything, and that makes it a lot easier. And you should get all the help that you can. Set up the systems that you can. But even with all of that, there are days things just won't come together. But it won't matter because, well, that is life, you know. God never told us that everything will be a straight line. He said in the world we will see trouble. So there would be challenges even in the pursuit of being a mother and a wife. But even someone without a husband and a child can have challenges in other ways. So it's really about us learning to live the life we have been given the best way that we can and achieve the goals and the greatness that we should, even as we pursue our journey. But the spouse matters in terms of how we're able to do that, which is why I spend so much time on going back to start teaching our girls the fundamentals of how to choose the man they marry, because it's important. And spend time teaching our men or our boys what it is to be a husband in 21st century. And not to look at the husbands of old, some of their fathers and the kind of relationship their fathers and their mothers had. Because the times are the different, might be, it's changing.
It's changing.
And you need to adjust with it and see if you do want to get married, you are going to marry a girl from this generation. A girl whose exposure, understanding, ambition, and drive is different. Does that mean that your marriage cannot work? No. There were marriages that broke up even in our own generation. So it's really about how, if you have an understanding of each other, and you cannot have a full understanding, we come as two strangers with some knowledge of each other to become one. It's when you become one that the journey really starts, because that's when you start discovering more and more about each other. But if you are committed to the goal, then you will work it out with each other as you go along in order to achieve uh, the greatness of each one of you and the greatness of your unit, your team.
Thank you, Ma, for that. So while you were speaking, Ma, you mentioned the fact that we need to help girls or teach them how to understand the process of choosing the husband they are going to marry. And I noticed that some people also believe that we need to also teach the men or reorientate them about what it takes to truly be a husband, because of late we find out that we have some young men who got married just because they want to have someone they can easily have sex with and have kids with, and not necessarily because they want to play that role of a husband or a father. They leave all the duties to the woman to do. So some people believe that we need to also pay attention to our male children. We need to teach them how to be responsible adult or responsible men, how to also assist the woman in carrying out maybe our roles or our chores, because as a matter of fact there are still some men till today that believe that, oh, house chores is mainly for the women. They don't need to lift a finger in the house to do anything. So many wrong mindset that is affecting marriage. I just want you to share a little light on that, on how we can help to reorientate the men in these areas.
I think the responsibility is for all of us as mothers. You know, if you have boys and you're raising them, it just reverse it. If you had a girl, what kind of husband would you like for her? What would you like her husband to know? What would you like her husband to do? If that is the situation, then start teaching your boys to be that man that you would want your daughter to marry. That's a responsibility that we have. You know, my life series project that I've been doing for the past 2 years now, I have men only sessions as well as women only sessions. And then in December, I usually have a combined session. It's because of these same things that we're talking about. And part of what I do there is to find great men who are living a balanced life as successful men in outstanding careers, to share their story and their relationship with their husband. So you can model the right examples for the guys to learn from and ask questions extensively. And I know that it's working, you know. So we still have a long way to go,
Okay.
but it's the responsibility of all of us as women. Is what we teach our boys that they will do when they get married. And I
True.
hope to God that we will all do a good job in a way that the daughters that come home to us as wives of our children will come back to us to say thank you. Because frankly, if you are a working mother who has had to juggle and balance things in raising your boys, your son has only seen a woman working, and he has seen the responsibility and the pain and the strain on his mother, where she didn't get the right support from the father.
True.
It will just be an anomaly for that boy to marry and expect to do the same thing to his own wife and not have taken learnings from his mother's life in order to support his wife. The sad part sometimes is us as women who are mothers who actually, you know, make the matters worse and continue to perpetuate those things, because the things we hated as women when we were wives, we want those things to be done to our daughter-in-laws. You know, it's a strange thing that we don't take the learnings of our own lives and apply it in an equitable manner to what we're asking for from the lives of others. So I think it's a responsibility for all of us. We still have a long way to go,
Way to go.
but to change culture and change a society, it takes generations, it takes decades, but there must be a starting point. The journey of 1,000 years starts with the first step, and we need to take those steps if we want a sustainable society, and we need to continue to build on it so that many more women can have a successful home.
Thank you, Ma, for that.
Wow.
Okay, so I think we have two more questions. So there is this one about some men believing that their wife should not work at all. So we've had cases of husbands that won't allow the woman to work, even when the woman is trying to do maybe a vocational, to acquire a vocational skill. He won't allow her to do that. He just believes that a wife should be like a piece of furniture that should sit in the house, just giving birth to children and raising the kids. He doesn't believe that a woman should go out there or should have any work that she does just to earn a living. And we've even had a case of a husband who seized his wife's BSc certificate just to ensure that she would not go out there to work or look for work. He had to seize the certificate. Ma, I want you to shed a little light on that. What do you think? Because we all know what the economy is saying now. Is it advisable for wives to just sit down not doing anything, considering the fact that these men cannot fully provide for all our needs and the needs of our family members?
When I get asked this kind of questions, I can only shake my head for the simple reason that, look, it's part of why it's important to teach our children, our daughters, how to choose husbands. Whether it's the last question or this question, a woman has a choice. She's not a slave or a piece of furniture that is sold to a man. In the process of dating the man, you must already have a sense of his habits, his thinking, and his ways. If you know you're a woman that wants a man that would support and encourage you, from the conversation of that man, you will already know if he's not. If you know you're a woman who has an ambition and a drive and you want to make something of your life, from your conversation with that man, you will already know if he's a man that supports a woman working, a woman having business or anything, and you can already make a decision. This situation where women think they're smart and that I will marry him, but I will change him. You're not God. Like they say, you can take a horse to the river. You cannot force the horse to drink water. The process, the problem starts from the who you marry. Now, let's be honest. The man has a right to want what he wants. That's his problem. He can want a wife that will not work. There are women that don't want to work. So
true.
frankly, he will find one that is happy to be a kept woman. The problem is the woman who does not want to be a kept sit-at-home woman, who then agrees to marry a man who wants a woman that will do exactly that. So it's the woman's problem. It's not the man's problem. Because whatever that man wants for his own selfish reasons, he has a right to it. And he can find the right woman for that. But you as a woman as well, you have a right to what you want to be, the life you want to live, and how you want to express your life. And you have a responsibility to protect and defend that by choosing the right spouse who has the capacity to work with you to be who you want to be. If you know that your core wants to work, wants to build a career, wants to do whatever, wants to achieve greatness, wants to achieve great things. Don't marry a guy who is looking for a housewife. You cannot marry him and then complain about who he is. You know, the guy who will seize your certificate, he didn't just start after he married you. His language, his value system, the way he is, you would already know. So this addiction to you want to get married, you overlook critical components of your life. And when you get into it, you've signed a contract, you are already in the contract, and then you want to change the terms of the contract midway. That's a problem that we as women need to pay attention to. See, it's better to marry at 30, marry at 40, marry at 35, live till 70, 75, 80, but live satisfactorily, live joyfully, know that you have lived the life that you really want, than to be married at 25 and be miserable for 50 years. Or at the end of the day, you're forced to divorce by 30 because it's just not working for you. And the thing about it for the men as well is foolishness in this time and season. Life happens. Husbands die.
True, man.
Businesses fail. Men lose jobs. Accidents happen. Things happen that can make an economically viable man who can provide for his family alone run into a crisis that takes him out of his game.
True, man.
If he has handcuffed his helper, he cannot get any help.
True.
Because he had made his wife redundant and has not allowed her to be productive. Even if he builds the greatest business and then dies suddenly, if his wife has not been empowered to understand the business, to have the capacity to take over, to negotiate, or to do whatever, strangers will take the business from them. True. I know many people that have died that had money, but the money is sitting with other people, and their wife didn't know much, didn't know anything about this, and the wife and the children suffer because others, people are not so trustworthy. They will run away with these things. And they're real life things that have happened. I mean, if you live in Nigeria, you live in Lagos, there are many stories. You know what can happen. So if in 2021, a man is still looking for a wife who is a piece of furniture, good for him. If there's a woman who still wants to be a man's piece of furniture, good for her. But if you're a woman who wants to be somebody else, then don't put yourself in a situation that is not going to work for you. You might not have everything on day one. So you marry a guy that you start together struggling. But if you're able to express yourself, you can both make it. You can make your life together. You can make money, he can make money. You combine together. You can look, they're real life stories. I know women who left young husbands who didn't seem to be able to give them that much, to follow older people that they thought would give them the world. And then that person they left became completely very successful. And where they went to, they were not reckoned with because they're not the primary wife in that situation. And as far as I'm concerned, they lost out in many ways. Don't chase pottage and, leave your legacy and your future and your gifts at the table. Don't be an Esau and when you've been called to be a Jacob. It's really what I'm trying to say with that.
Thank you, ma. Thank you so much, ma. So the last one is on commitment in marriage. Commitment in marriage. So some people see marriage as if it's not working, let's just go our separate ways. If it's not working, but they fail to understand that they also have a part to play in making it work or to be committed. As we've had cases of men who are even married, still going after other women and things like that. And we have cases of women too who are married, even with kids, and still going after other men. So I want you to speak on that commitment aspect of marriage for people to understand that this is more of a long-term commitment to work with each other rather than seeing it as, oh, if it's not okay or if it doesn't go down well with me, I can easily opt out.
I think we should start from the fact that we all get married for different reasons, and the intention of each person will play out in the way they approach the relationship. If a woman gets married largely to have children, then she doesn't really care about the relationship. She just wants a father for her children. If a woman gets married to stop her aunties and her uncles from asking her, when are you bringing the husband home? And those are the things we do as a society that we use to create problems. We should stop asking people. If they haven't brought one home, they haven't brought the person home. Treat them as a human, because their life is not defined by who they marry or if they marry. They as the person is far more important. And respecting that their person, and not making people feel something is wrong with them because they're not married, is a thing that the whole society needs to rise up to. Because some of that is why women allow themselves to be pressured to make decisions even when they know without a doubt that this is not the right person for them. Now, the basis for which you go into marriage sometimes will affect your ability to commit in the relationship, and it also depends on your character as a person and your understanding of covenant. Marriage is a covenant. It's a covenant, it's a contract. We all say this thing either at the marriage registry or in court: till death do us part. Now, what it says to us is we have no respect for the contract. We have no respect for the law. Our words were just said for the fancy. Because if indeed we do have respect for the words that we say and the commitment before God, then we will go the extra mile in order to preserve that contract and to make it work. Now, let me put a caveat. Going the extra mile does not include physical abuse of a woman. If a man is beating you, I will tell a woman to leave. Why? Because we've seen too many women killed by abusing husbands. So all this thing that families tell a girl, you cannot leave the place no matter what, just stay there until you get killed. No, there are many things you can endure. There are many things you can work at. And marriage has that as a constant part of it, because you are two different people. They say iron sharpeneth iron, but the process of iron sharpening iron is rough. There's pain involved because you will see sparks of iron chipping off. So you are refining one another. And sometimes there's pain, sometimes there's joy, but overall, you will know that there's purpose and there's satisfaction and there's commitment. So that one is there. But where without a doubt that you have the case of a man who is totally uncommitted to the contract, totally uncommitted to the covenant, and on top of that is an abuser of his wife. That's a different scenario. And as families, we have to decide what is our priority: appearing good in the society, impressing society, or protecting our own. Because when the chips are down, if I had a daughter, I would protect the life of my daughter against a very abusive relationship. I mean, I know of a couple, the girl works, the guy hardly does anything, is running up and down, acting like a big boy. They have 4 children. But apart from the fact that she's paying all the bills, he beats her red and blue. You know, she cannot focus at work, yet
No.
she's the primary breadwinner for the family. They, he has access to our account. He can take all the money out and spend on his concubines or his mistresses. And on top of that, he will beat her to nonsense. Where is the marriage? There's no marriage there. The Bible
At
says that
all.
if the unbelieving husband wants to go, let him go. Yes. So if your life is at risk and you get to a point where you know that before you have a heart attack, you lose your job, and then you destroy the children because you are shaping their mindset by the kind of
True.
environment, corrosive environment that you have. Sometimes it is in the interest of the woman and the children to separate from that toxic environment so that the children can have a chance. She might not divorce him, but she might just understand that, look, I need a safer space for me and for my children. And whilst they try and work things out, if it's workable. But where we have a near impossible situation and one party has totally breached the contract, is non-committed to the terms of the contract, we have to be a lot wiser in the context of today. There's no Christian that would get married seeking to get divorced. I hope not. Because we know that that is not our first place to go, nor is it something that God wants for us. But I also know that God delights in our prosperity and our peace and our joy. And we need to find how things work. There are every marriage has its own, like I said, iron sharpening iron. You work together, you have your try moments, you go through it, but you do that because you are committed to the goal. Doesn't mean you won't have challenge. So that's not what we're talking about at all. But there are those places that it is clear that it does not serve the interest or the life of the woman and her children to remain in that toxic environment. And that's how many young women have been killed. Because families keep insisting, no, you cannot come back to your father's house. You cannot go and rent a house by yourself. You cannot. Look, we have to be objective and look at things objectively and constructively. Make an informed decision that protects the parties involved at the end of the day. A wife is not a gift to a man to do as he wants. If you give him a car, he can crash the car. That's his problem. If you give him a wristwatch, he can take a hammer and break the wristwatch. That's his problem. But his wife was not given to him as a gift to destroy. And there are two adults that came together as one. There isn't the husband, a child, woman, and children. No. There are two adults that came together. The Bible says we should submit one to another, which means you're equal partners working together. You're working together, learning from each other, sharing knowledge and strengths together. Because why does it say submit one to another? It means there's some areas where I have leadership. Where you recognize that, submit to my knowledge and my skills in that space. There's some areas where you have the strength and it is clear. I should submit to your knowledge and your strength in that space. Together as a team. The Bible says the two is one. Can you be one with something that is not equal or equivalent to you in any way? There'll be a mismatch.
True.
This whole notion that, and a wife isn't a servant. She's a partner that is meant to complete the man. So it is working together. The biggest wisdom a man can have in marriage is to understand that what his wife becomes, It's the quality of the help you will get in the day of trouble. Apart from the fact that, the Bible says, love your wife, that your prayers may be answered.
Yes.
So you are doing yourself good service if you love your wife as Christ loved the church. So that when you pray, it will not be hindered. If you find couples that are a team, a real team with mutual respect for one another, you find it's easier for them to succeed.
True,
Even
man.
when they go through challenging situations, because they have one another and they look out for each other, they can overcome many things
Basically.
easily. It's a lot easier for them. There's no, how do you say, the agreement that is most powerful in this world is between a husband and a wife, because there's a divine hand in that agreement. So whenever you have a team of a husband and a wife that work together with one mind, they're unstoppable. They can do amazing things, So I don't know why people will get married only to, you can have children without getting married, because there are women that are willing to do that for you. But if you go the step of wanting to get married, you must understand, there is responsibility involved in it. But the women have the responsibility to protect themselves by ensuring that the man is qualified, is capable, and has the right mindset, character, and understanding to be the husband that would help them to be the best of who God has called them to be. We should never give away that position.
True, man. True, man. Thank you so much, man.
My
You've
pleasure.
done justice to all the questions. But I have one question for you, man. So
Okay.
you're one of those people I look up to as
Thank you.
a mentor, because I like the way you speak. And your words can be very compelling. Each time I listen to you, it's like an armor is being hit, on
Thank you.
my mind that you better listen. So I
Mm.
just want to ask, what are your daily routine like, or how are you able to become a woman of so many parts, such that you do so many things at the same time, yet it's not affecting one or the other? Just to give us a little clue as to what your daily routine is as a mother and as a wife, man.
Okay. Well, I'm not much of a person of routine, but if I take my morning, it would largely be that I wake up and I would want to, I'll pick my phone, check if there's anything urgent. And once I settle that, I put it aside and I would want to pray. And that starts my day. The rest of my day can work out in different ways, depending on what that day is dedicated to. And because there are multiple parts to my life, each day is so very different. Now, the question that you asked that is key is, how do I do so many different things, which I get asked a lot. One of the things I've realized in life is I'm not the most important person in my life. Okay? I have the assignment and the call of God, but for me to fulfill all that I have been called to, I must be humble enough to lean on people. And leaning on people means you mustn't have a grandiose idea of yourself or of you being the most important person. Once you settle that, you will treat the people around you as real assets. You will treat them well in a way that you're able to draw value from them. You will understand that every human being in your life that is an extension of your life is giving you a gift of their own life and of their own time, even if you're paying them for it. Because it's not the salary you pay people that makes them work well for you. It is how you make them feel that makes them willing to go the extra mile for you to help you achieve the things you want to achieve. So one of the biggest lessons I have learned is to always treat people right and to respect other people and their own gifts. My house help is important to me. Why? There are many things I can't do without, I have more than one. My cook is important to me. because I'm not in the kitchen cooking. Somebody is helping me to make that role function in my house so that I can do the other things that God has called me to. But I play part of that role. I ensure that everything that is required is available. And that is simply about me ensuring that I get the right list of what is needed or what is non-available at the right time, and makes the provision or makes the funds available for that to be procured in order for the house to keep running. And to ensure that I can sustain keeping staff over time. If my driver isn't treated well, I'm going to get myself stuck in the middle of the bridge one day, abandoned with a car. No. So it's not even just your people at the highest level. It's people at every level in your life. And people that you partner with, that you collaborate with, that you do business with, they're just people that bless your life. The ability to do multiple things is about having the liberty to delegate to others, but to delegate and empower. Because you see, there are many people who delegate and hold power. If you delegate and you hold power, you are still controlling everything that they're doing, which means they can't make any decisions except you are there. What about when you die? What will happen? Which is part of why many great businesses have been built in Nigeria over time, but many of them do not exist.
True.
Because they died when the owners died. Because the owners never handed power to anybody else. They allowed the business to go forward without them. It's about our practices. So I made a decision, I think when I was about 30, going on 31, and I was about to have my second son, that I was 31 going on 32. I wanted to have a life, have a successful business, but also have a life. Have time for my children and my home. And I realized that one of the things I had to do was to ensure that I didn't build my business in a way that it cannot function without me. So I sought to try to free myself. And that experience made me make a decision to say that by the time I'm 50, I was going to be out of driving my business every day. I think I achieved that at 48.
Wow.
And if I hadn't already scheduled my life in some way like that, when all the corporate parts of my life on this board, serve on that board, which I'm still serving on multiple boards, and then becoming the chairman of the bank, and with all of the time that's consumed and all of that, it would have been a major task. And then all the things I've given my life and my time to, like all of my live series projects, my speaking career, which is quite extensive, I would not be able to do all of those other things. I would then just have been tied to my business. Yet, those other gifts were in me to use and to apply. And my biggest ambition in life is to die empty, knowing that every gift and talent that I have has been utilized totally. Now, I can only do that if I have not tied myself in a way that I cannot be free. I can readily take holidays with my family. I take more than one in a year. They have different, there are different holidays that represent different parts of my life. But it's also because I have deliberately, because we need to live more deliberately and intentionally.
Sure, ma.
We must decide, this is what I want for my life, and this is how I want it to work. And then we must work to organize our life for those things to work. And some of it involves freeing ourselves, having the liberty of mind to give power to others in our life, and to handle people around our lives with greater respect and love and concern, so that we're able to do so many other things. And you would find that you will get the gift of people's service and love and support
Mm.
when your attitude
That's
loves
right.
people, respects the gift they give you,
Mm.
and does not mishandle it.
Mm. Mm.
People are key.
True. True, man. Thank you so much,
You're
ma.
welcome.
We've learned a lot today. Thank you, ma, for
My
honoring our
pleasure.
invitation.
My
We are so
pleasure.
blessed to have you today. Thank you so, so much. We are grateful, ma, for
It's my
honoring our
pleasure.
invitation. We wish you all the best in life. And as you
Amen.
continue to impact the lives of many people out there, I pray that God will continue to bless you and increase you
Amen.
in strength and
Amen.
wisdom because
Amen.
that is what you are known for always.
Amen.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
ma.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you. Bye, ma. So we have come to the end of today's program. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do share this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are yet to do that because we have more interesting, impactful, and powerful speakers, coming live on Marie Clinic. Please, you don't want to miss it. We have so many lined up. Please feel free to get in touch with us through our Facebook group or through the YouTube channel. We are always there to attend to you. Thank you so much. I remain your host, Marlai, and we'll put it till we meet again. I say bye bye.